As I was sitting here today, just to give you an idea of how often I've changed my remarks, you can see all the so when I sit here and listen, I'm like, what's going on? All sorts of things run through my head. But we have about 100,000 members in our organization, cut across all sorts of industries. And we work with probably another 250,000 through other groups around the country. And I have to say, my thought here as I listened today was, what would one of our members say if he or she was sitting here today? A business owner listening to this. I just finished up a short paper that we're going to publish soon on regulatory costs and how very real they are. Most consumers don't see it, right? If you're a consumer, you don't know what regulatory costs are. You know what a tax is, right? You pay the tax, but regulatory costs are kind of in this ether land. You don't know really much about it. You hear people talking about it, but you don't see it, at least very clearly. But who does see it? The business owners that have to deal with regulatory costs. They're the ones that are on the front lines, if you will. And they have certain assumptions or maybe facts based on their experience when it comes to regulation. And they question, right? They think that a lot of regulation is based on very questionable or highly debatable science, questionable, debatable models, sources of information, measurements. And I have to say, do you think today's meeting would change that perspective? Probably not, to be honest. I mean, if you came in with that perspective, listening to the debate and discussion today, and it's been great, it's wonderful, but if you're the business owner dealing with this stuff, and your assumption is, there's a lot of room for discussion and debate here behind these very costly regulations, your mind wasn't changed, I don't think. In fact, things were probably confirmed in terms of what you had experienced yourself. Now, that's not what I originally came to talk about, but a couple of things that I'd just like to mention in terms of our own work. We had FTI Consulting look at the literature on this issue, and you guys know it. You guys have debated it all day, and essentially the conclusion that FTI came up with in our paper was that the agency is largely regulating ahead of the science on background ozone. And I think a lot of people today confirm that. And the paper concluded that the new ozone standard is too close to background levels in many parts of the country. And this leaves state and local governments with very few, if any, ways to avoid violating the standard and the federal sanctions that go with it. Please look at that study. I think it's well worth it. It's on our website, centerforregulatory-solutions.org. And you can also go to our SBEcouncil.org website and get there as well. And there's all sorts of other great stuff on regulation there, if you're interested. So why do we do this? Why do we do this literature review, if you will? And again, it's because of the real impact that these regulations have. And the potential impact of non-attainment, which we are very concerned about, as are many of the state officials around the country, and we heard from one today. So if you've got a region that is in non-attainment, right, its business could be subjected to economic penalties, restrictions on their growth and development. Another study that we released today is the potential impact on Arizona itself, and that again is on the website. And when you look at some of the numbers there in terms of the number of counties and all, we're talking about potentially 97% of the state's economy, 95% of state jobs, and 93% of the state's population falling into areas that could be in non-attainment. So this is obviously a very big concern for us from a small business perspective. Why? Because I think, again, on the regulatory issue, we get lost. A lot of people, the average person perhaps thinks of regulation and think big businesses, right? But when you look at these industries, each one is overwhelmingly populated by small firms. I'll just give you a quick rundown. Manufacturing in Arizona, 73% of employer firms have less than 20 workers. That's not unique when you go down. Mining and oil and gas business, 70% less than 20 workers. Construction, 88% of construction employer firms have less than 20 workers. Transportation and warehousing, 77% have less than 20 workers. This is very much a small business issue, which is why we are very much here today and have been involved in this issue to a great extent. If you go to our website again, you'll not only see the Arizona analysis, but we've done it on several other states as well. Hopefully that will provide some just thoughts and perspectives from the business community on this, on what these costs really mean in the end, the economy, and hopefully that in turn will have the EPA thinking more critically and have a more, well, as in my scribbled notes here, critical to have the most accurate, realistic, sound, transparent, and comprehensive analysis of what they're doing here, because it very much matters to our economy. And listen, I'm a generalist on the economy. I do a lot of work, and I don't tell anybody in this room that we've had a tough time over the last, 8+ years. And these regulatory uncertainties and costs do not make it any better. Thanks.